Hello everybody and welcome to this very personally nostalgic video where I'm going to take a look at 20 candy bars, the most popular ones, and I'm going to tell you my relationship with them, my first experiences with them, what I think about them, and so on. So this is just going to be a nice video to sit back, relax, and get a little lore about me and my candy bar experiences, and maybe we'll do a little ranking as well. So anyways, I went to Five Below. Got a big old sack of candy bars. Dig around. See what... Okay, this one feels promising. It is a Butterfinger. So the Butterfinger, as it says here, crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery. Yes, it is a peanut butter kind of bar, and it's enrobed in milk chocolate. Now, I remember when the Butterfinger was around when I was a kid, and it was the Nestle Butterfinger. But Nestle was since then bought out by Ferrero Chocolates. I remember seeing The Simpsons. Bart Simpson would be on the candy wrappers and all that. Like, some weird tie-in with Butterfinger and The Simpsons cartoon. Whatever, but I was never the biggest fan. I remember I was going on a fishing trip with my dad. We went to the Shop and Save. It was a grocery store. It doesn't exist anymore in the area. And my dad was like, all right, get $1, go pick out some candy bars. And back then, candy bars only cost 50 cents, 55 cents. And I thought I was going to get more bang for my buck if I bought Butterfingers, because for some reason they were on sale for like 45 cents or 40 cents. So after tax, it would have been $1. I wouldn't have gone over $1. So I remember getting 2 Butterfinger candy bars, and we went on this fishing trip. We didn't catch anything. And I remember I was like, oh, I'm so hungry. I was like, oh, but I had those 2 Butterfingers. So I grab one out, open it up, and it's just melted. It's just a nasty mess. And all the while I'm trying to eat this thing, I'm just smelling dead fish. This is like just the rotting smell of dead fish around me. So it's like I kind of always associate this candy bar with just like a dead rotting fish smell in a failed fishing trip, which in hindsight, is a failed fishing trip even a thing? Because I think as long as you go out and you sit down and you chill, even if you don't catch anything, I think it's still a success. But Butterfinger in particular anyways is not my favorite candy bar, not by a long shot. I don't like how the peanut butter in here gets stuck in my teeth when I chew into it. It just kind of like compacts it back into the molars that I already have divots in, and I'm just like, your tongue can't even pick it out or anything. So it's like, Butterfinger, nah, not my favorite. Now the Butterfinger Crisp, that was awesome, but anyways. Next up we have the Payday bar. So the Payday bar, I remember my mom always buying, and I would always see it and be like, this is kind of more of a grown-up candy bar. I always just thought this was a weird candy bar because it was never covered in chocolate, and I always just associate a candy bar with it being covered in chocolate. But anyways, yeah, the Payday bar, it's got a nice salty to sweet kind of thing with the caramel in there. So peanut caramel bar, that's what it is. But the caramel in here is almost like a fudgy kind of thing. It's not a sticky kind of caramel, which is good. But yeah, I like the Payday bar. It's very satisfying. As a grown-up, I appreciate it a whole lot more. So it's a good one. Definitely a good one. All right, let's reach in the old sack. Oh, we got a 2-for-1. Okay, so we've got the Crunch Bar. I guess we'll start with this one, which I always remember it being the Nestle Crunch Bar. But it's the same thing as the Butterfinger. Ferrero bought out Nestle, and now it's just the Crunch Bar here. But it is still the Nestle Crunch in other countries around the world. It's very weird how properties and stuff change in some parts of the world and some not so much. But anyways, the Crunch Bar is creamy milk chocolate with crisped rice right there. Okay. I found this to be a pretty plain Jane kind of candy bar, even with the crunch. Like, yeah, it's not your average just regular chocolate bar. It does have that crispy in there, so when you do bite down into it, it has a But yeah, I always saw this as more of a basic candy bar that I would never really reach out and want to get a Crunch bar ever in my life. Now, I remember in first or second grade, it was some type of ice cream party thing that they were doing. And I remember being given a choice of either a drumstick or a regular dreamsicle or a regular like chocolate covered vanilla ice cream bar or a Crunch bar ice cream. And I was like, whoa, they combined a candy bar with ice cream? What? Now, this is the early 90s. So, you know, now that's pretty, you know, regular. But back then it was pretty wild. So I was like, I remember I want the Crunch bar ice cream. That's the only time I really desired anything that had to do with this candy bar. It was good. I think they still make those to this day. But anyways, yeah, the Crunch bar, it is almost like a refreshing chocolate bar in a way, just how it does have that crunch. So it does satisfy you in a way, at least with the texture, but it's okay. It's fine. I remember getting it a lot when I would be trick-or-treating and being like, oh, okay, well, whatever. I'll eat that after I eat everything else that I actually really do like. All right, and next up, we got the classic Hershey's milk chocolate bar. I mean, I remember getting it a lot when I'd be trick-or-treating. You get the little 4-square mini-sized bar. Yeah, it's just Hershey's chocolate. The chocolate is pretty subpar, you know, compared to a lot of other chocolate out there. But it's the chocolate that you could use with anything. S'mores, these are good for that when you're making the old graham cracker marshmallow chocolate combination. But I would never reach for a good old classic Hershey's bar when there are far better choices out there. But yeah, memories, always seeing these around. You see these and you're just like, oh, that's so plain. But it's the Hershey's, whatever, it's a classic. You got to give them that. All right, reaching in. Next up, oh, the Whatchamacallit. I will say this is an absolutely amazing candy bar. I remember seeing them around back in the day, and I think it was just the name really threw me off. Like, Whatchamacallit, and I was like, this is a weird candy bar for a weird person. But I got over that, and I realized that this is actually amazing. So what is it exactly? It's a bar made with chocolate, peanut flavored crisps, and caramel. And that combined with those crisps in there, the crunch that you get in this, and the caramel and the chocolate, it is absolutely just the best. All right. I think I finally gave a Whatchamacallit a chance when I was like 20. It took that long for me to be like, all right, I'll see what this is about. Walked out of that gas station, took one bite, and was absolutely in love. Now, do I reach for a Whatchamacallit when I do want to buy a candy bar? Not so much. They're kind of hit and miss where you could find them, but they're still around. There was a Who's-It What's It bar that was out like a few years ago. I think that's since been discontinued, and there was one before that like a long time ago. I remember buying that one, and that one was pretty good too. But yeah, Whatchamacallit is definitely good. I'm gonna let's put these bad ones down here at the bottom. The ones I really don't care about. There we go. We'll put the Payday and the Whatchamacallit right up there. All right, let's reach into the sack, grab something else. Oh my God, the Almond Joy. So this is a coconut and almond bar covered in chocolate. You can kind of see what it looks like there, obviously. A little cross-section action there. So the Almond Joy was something I was kind of afraid of as a kid. And I don't know what I got into first. Maybe it was this that made me absolutely love coconut. Or maybe it was because I just randomly one time went into the kitchen when I was a kid and I found the bag of shredded coconut that was like sweetened with sugar in it. And I just opened up the bag and just grabbed a handful and ate it. And I think that was my way of getting into coconut. So when I saw this bar, I thought, that's just the next step up. Bit into it, loved it. But I'm not the biggest fan of the almond in it. I know that's the selling point of this candy bar, but the other thing is that there is a Mounds which is red, and it's just dark chocolate with coconut without the almond. And the Mounds gives you more coconut in it. So you lose coconut and gain the almond, which is kind of like, I'd much rather have this with the milk chocolate with the same amount of coconut that you get in a Mounds. But anyways, yeah, anytime I see an Almond Joy and some kind of like mixture of other candies, I will always reach for this blue and grab it, because yeah, a lot of people don't like coconut, and you know, I get it, but I don't know, I've always loved it. Here we go, Reese's Fast Break. I remember when these first came out and I bought it and I tried it, and I always thought, yeah, that was good, but I went years without really thinking about it too much. And it was up until recently where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy a big king size Fast Break. And it's just so simple but so damn good. So you get milk chocolate, peanut butter, and nougat, and you get so much peanut butter in this thing. It's like you get the most bang for your buck with this, more than any other Reese's variant of candy bar. And I absolutely love it. This is top tier, S tier candy bar stuff. Reese's Fast Break, it's absolutely up there with the rest of these. Okay, next up, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. I remember for a split second when I was a kid that I liked Snickers and Reese's was a second. The Snickers didn't last long as my number one favorite chocolate candy bar, whatever. Reese's won me over, and ever since then, yeah, it's always been great. I think the whole selling point of this is like, this is the standard size. You get 2 instead of 1. Even though it's like the same amount of chocolate and everything and weighs the same as a Snickers bar, or actually a little less than a Snickers bar, but you know, that whole thing of getting 2 in 1, it's a good selling point. And then also it's just classic chocolate peanut butter. So simple. And it has the little wrapper on the inside. You get to take it off and everything. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. And there's a reason why the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is the best. I mean, number one, you know, it's just that good. Here's the Reese's Big Cup. And I remember when these first came out too, and I bought them a hell of a lot. There's not 2 in them. The king size, you get 2 of them. But yeah, the Reese's Big Cup is bigger than the standard size, obviously. That's the selling point. You get a lot more peanut butter, it feels like. I could eat about 7 of these in one sitting and not even flinch. Okay, here we got a Baby Ruth. Not really too fond on this. It's not because I hate it, it's just because I never really saw this one as like a go-to. It's dry roasted peanuts, rich caramel, and smooth nougat. So it's a very basic candy bar. It's covered in chocolate. I always remember the old scene from some movie where it's like, oh, they threw a Baby Ruth bar in the pool and it looked like a turd floating in it. I forget, was that Caddyshack or something? But yeah, I remember getting this a lot when I go trick-or-treating, and I'd be like, okay, that's one of those candy bars that I'll eat later when all the good stuff's gone, but that's about it. Baby Ruth bar, it's okay though. I'm not gonna bash it too much. It's just a classic candy bar that just hasn't died off yet. Here we go, the classic Snickers bar. Now, like I said, this one was my favorite as a kid growing up. And I remember specifically getting this and having the candy bar all to myself. Like, I remember holding it like this and remember it being so big. But, you know, I was a kid, so my hand was a lot smaller, so it felt a lot bigger in my hand. We were walking out of a store called Grandpa's. And Grandpa's wound up becoming Deals. It was bought out. And then Deals wound up being bought out by a lot of Dollar Trees. And we walked into the parking lot. My mom bought it for me. She was driving a blue Camaro, 3rd generation with T-tops. And I remember walking to the driver's seat. You have to open up the door, push the front driver's seat open or forward, and then I get in the back. And I remember just gnawing on a Snickers bar on the way back home. And that's like basically my first memory of a Snickers. You know, I like the ice cream variation. I tried a bunch of different variations of Snickers bars. It's the big candy bar that everybody loves and goes to most of the time. It's like the classic chocolate bar. Oh yeah, here's another one. Kit Kat, one of the bigger ones out there too. It's definitely one of my favorites. Oh my god, I think the very first huge Kit Kat story I had is when I tried to steal one when I was a kid. So here's the deal. My mom was in the checkout line at Shop and Save, getting things taken care of, and I had to follow my dad for some reason. We were trying to get back to my mom, and I don't know, for some reason my dad wanted to go through this one checkout lane that was closed, and there was like a big bunch of carts, a line of carts that were all pushed together, and it was blocking the lane, but there was just enough room to scoot past all these carts and go through it to get on the other side and meet my mom. So my dad goes first. We're facing the carts. On our back, against our back, is the candy section of this, you know, closed checkout aisle. And as I'm going past, I flip a Kit Kat bar from the candy behind me into my hand. And I knew what I was trying to do. I was trying to get away with it because I was like, oh, we're getting past the checkout line to get it. And, you know, I get away with it scot-free. So once I grabbed the Kit Kat bar, now mind you, back then the Kit Kat bars were wrapped in foil and they had this paper wrapping over it. It wasn't like this where it's all plastic now anymore. So that's what it looks like, give you a visual. And I walk up to my mom and dad as they're paying, and I have my hands behind my back like this. The lady at the counter said, "Okay, what do you have behind your back?" And I was like, "Nothing." Obviously, nothing. And then my dad said something like, let's look. And I was like, busted. Now, what I should have did was just slip the candy bar down my pants or something. But I was like, oh, okay, all right. And they took the candy bar away, and my mom and dad yelled at me, rightfully so. And that was my first experience getting busted trying to steal something, and it was a Kit Kat bar. So that's my big childhood story about a Kit Kat bar. I always loved Kit Kat bars. Definitely not something I would reach for every single time, but always a good standard classic. I love all the different flavor variants of the Kit Kat bar. It's always a good one. Anyways, reaching back in. Yeah, here we go. We got the Mounds. Almond Joy's big brother. The Mounds bar is older than the Almond Joy. It's just dark chocolate and coconut. Very simple. You get a lot of coconut with it. I love dark chocolate. I would definitely reach for a Mounds more than an Almond Joy for sure. So this is just a classic. And I always thought Almond Joy and Mounds, was there any other different variants besides a Mounds and an Almond Joy? One's blue, one's red. Was there a green with a different form of coconut chocolate concoction? And I dug deep on that subject a little while ago, and I'm working on a video about that. You will be entertained. You will be amazed. But yeah, the Mounds, standard classic. Absolutely love it. Okay. Here we go. We got the Twix. Twix is one of those candy bars that I thought it was like an adult thing because it had an X at the end of it. I don't know why I made that correlation, but I did as a kid growing up. But you get two cookie bars, much like how the Reese's is. You know, I never really made that connection. The candy bars that have two pieces in it besides one definitely could be a hit. Okay, so yeah, it's a crunchy cookie sticks covered in caramel, and then they're enrobed in milk chocolate. So that's what this is. It's always had kind of this gold foil and red look to it. That's its kind of like trademark. And they got the two sticks right there in the eye. Pause. You need a Twix. That's kind of like their thing. Okay. Bunch of different variations of the Twix over the years. I remember getting these in my trick-or-treat bags, but it was only like a one mini stick kind of thing. And I remember going to Aldi's way back in the day. We're talking the 90s, obviously. And I remember a kid in front of us, he had one of those like 10 fun size ones in a thing package for $1. And I remember his mom going, all right, you gotta wait, I gotta pay for that Twix. He was like, come on, Mom, I want my Twix. Come on, Mom, I want my Twix. I want my Twix. I want my Twix. And so she was like, okay, I'll scan that first, and then you could go run over there. So he was in a rush. He got it scanned, and then he ran towards the tables, the big long bench where you could take your groceries and bag them after you pay. And he jumped up on the bench, and he just ripped that package open and just started eating the Twix. And I'm just like, all right, that dude really loves Twix. I mean, I like candy bars too, but I could never hassle my mom like that. I'd get the shit smacked out of me if I did that. That's like my biggest story about a Twix. It's good though. I like it. Yeah, it's good. Here we've got milk chocolate M&Ms. Very basic. I mean, I like them. I never really reached to buy these ever. I think the peanut version is far more popular. But over the years, I have a lot of memories with M&Ms. I remember having some kind of like assignment at school where they would give us some M&Ms and you have to sort them out by color and count with them and all that. Then at the very end, you get to eat them. I remember second grade, at the very end of the year, I won a Ziploc bag of baking M&Ms, which they were like basically M&Ms minis before they were packaged as M&Ms minis. So I remember leaving my second grade, you know, when we were finally done the last day, and I had a Ziploc baggie of baking M&Ms. And this girl that I had a crush on in the other class, she saw me with the baggie and she was like, oh, you got all those M&Ms? And I was like, yeah. And I didn't offer any. That was awesome. No simping. Do not simp ever. Then I remember like it was like 95 or 96, somewhere in the mid 90s. That's when they introduced the blue M&M into the mix. There was never really a blue M&M up until then. And it replaced the tan M&M. So there used to be a brown but also a tan one. You know, the M&Ms back then, they really loved their different brown shades. Yeah, I remember I was outside my dad's garage and he had KC95, the classic rock station. And the DJ gets on after a song and he's like, yeah, I went down to the vending machine down the hallway here and got back and opened up my package of M&Ms and I found a blue one in there. And I was like, what? A blue M&M? Blew my mind. One other thing and memory I had with M&Ms was, once again at Shop and Save, they had this thing where on the inside of the packaging, you could have won $1 million or something to that effect. Obviously, it was a sham, but I remember thinking, oh, I have enough to buy 2 packages of M&Ms. So, you know, that'll give me 2 chances to win $1 million and never have to go to school again. And obviously, looking inside, lost. And, yeah, major disappointment. To this day, that still haunts me. You know, I had a $2 investment or a $1.50 investment in it, and I lost when I should have won $1 million. Rightfully mine, I would say. But yeah, M&Ms are cool. They're awesome when they're in chocolate chip cookies. That's for sure. Ah, yes. The York Peppermint Patty. It is a patty that's peppermint covered in dark chocolate. They've always had this kind of blue circle with this old-timey York font on it. It kind of looks like the Ford symbol if it was an oval instead, but anyways. The York Peppermint Patty, I remember my mom always buying these, and they weren't in this kind of wrapper. They were in foil, much like how the Kit Kats were. And my mom had this trick where once she got home, she would place them in the freezer and get it really, you know, hard and cold and everything and pull it right out of the freezer and then kind of break it up. And then you'd have like little frosted pieces of the peppermint. So that's like maximum coolness, refreshing York Peppermint Patty experience. I still do that every once in a while. And for some reason, I feel like they used to be bigger. But, anyways. Good one. I love York Peppermint Patty. If you don't like peppermint, then you're not going to like that. But, yeah, I like it. Alright, so next up we got the 100 grand bar. It's rich caramel, milk chocolate, and crispy crunchies, as you can see right there. Now, I really did love this candy bar, and for the longest time I always passed on this. Maybe it's just the name of it. I'm just like, what are they trying to do with this? Like, 100 grand to a kid doesn't do anything. You know, 100 grand now would definitely entice me in the money form, but I think I started liking these when I ate a few fun size ones, and I really liked it because the caramel wasn't so sticky. It was like chewy, and it just had a consistency to it that I really liked. And, you know, it's made now by Ferrero, but I think it was made by, I don't want to say Nestle, but maybe it was, or whatever company that owned this before Ferrero bought it and changed up the formula. Because 1 or 2 years ago, I re-reviewed this, and I didn't like it as much. But, yeah, 100 grand, it's still a new kind of experience in candy bar to me over the past 15 years. But, and I really did like it, you know, early on, but now it kind of sucks. So I'll lose some points. Here's the Three Musketeers. It's a big guy. I always think of the Three Musketeers as a very long candy bar. It used to be longer than this. So the one memory I do have of the Three Musketeers bar is when my dad, he came home with a box of them. I don't know why. For some reason, he decided to buy a box of Three Musketeer bars, and they sat on the kitchen counter, and it'd be like every other day. My dad told me to do this. He's like, yeah, reach in and grab a Three Musketeers if you want. I'm like, all right. It's not my favorite candy bar, but sure, I'll eat it. You know, I'm not going to turn away free candy. Watch me go. But yeah, that's like my biggest memory, and that's what kind of got me into Three Musketeers. I always think about that time, like 98, 99, you know, late 90s, early 2000s. It was around that time Dad bought that box of Three Musketeers, and, you know, I think out of that box I ate 10 of them. So that's what got me hooked. And the history about Three Musketeers is that it wasn't just this one flavor of chocolate nougat covered in chocolate. So originally the Three Musketeers had like a chocolate nougat, a strawberry nougat, and either like a vanilla nougat or something. They're like in 3 smaller bars in 3 different flavors. Yeah, Three Musketeers. It is definitely historical, memorable in my life. The Heath bar, one of my mom's favorites. I remember she always would buy a Heath bar. She liked the Heath bar and the Score bar, which they're kind of different, but the Heath bar I think has like chips of peanuts in it, little things of peanuts in it. Maybe the Score bar does too, but it's like a thinner type of candy bar because it's English toffee enrobed in rich chocolatey coating, made by the Hershey's company. I always remember seeing the Heath bar around, but it really wasn't my favorite. Not the biggest fan of the English toffee. You know, it's just this slab of crunchiness and not any kind of chewy nougat or caramel or anything like that in there. No peanut butter in it. So it's pretty basic, you know, it's just toffee covered in chocolate. But every once in a while it's good if you really want that crunch. You just want to crunch into something. It's good for a topping for like ice cream and stuff too. So the Heath bar has its moments. And here we are down to the final one, the Milky Way. The Milky Way is one of those bars that I see and it's almost like a stranger because it's nougat and caramel covered in chocolate. One of the more basic candy bars. This thing is really heavy, but yeah, this is a share size, so go figure. But yeah, the Milky Way, I remember seeing it all the time. I do like the green kind of with the font. I mean, the font color is probably the most memorable and like biggest compliment I could give this thing. But it's pretty basic. It's like one of those candy bars you eat and you're just like, all right. I felt like my life was on pause the entire time I was eating that, but Okay. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Up from best to not so best. This is my ranking of the top 20 most popular candy bars. I think this is pretty spot on with most people. Maybe not. But this is what I think, at least. Thank you guys for watching as we talked all about candy bars. My memories and opinions on them, and somewhat. What's your favorite candy bar? Did I completely trash your favorite? Well, that's too bad. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I am DJ Glowing Ice. Peace out.